Good morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Tokyo Yo. My name is T. Oh, it feels like it's been forever since I've made a video like this. It's great to be back here with you guys doing a full kind of review video thingy. It feels great. It's been way too long. I'm going to try to do more of this, I promise. Try to keep the quality up. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about a pretty fantastic yo-yo that I received recently that I was not expecting to like, and actually blew me away in a lot of ways that yo-yos have not done recently, so it's quite a nice surprise for me. Today we're going to be talking about the Unspoken Yo-Yos and Zipline Strings Honey Badger. Okay, so taking a look at the yo-yo here, let's take a look at the shape first. So the shape is this kind of, I guess, H shape. It's pretty narrow. It's got little hints of V here. You can see that the yo-yo shape has a little bit of a slope there, so it kind of keeps the string from dragging too much when you're doing horizontal, which is nice. Got these little cuts going to the rim here. The rim is quite large, quite thick. It's got this interesting little rounded corner that goes inward here. There is a lip for thumb grinds, as you're going to notice here. But just the shape is very nice. It's not something I normally play with, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Inside the cup, like I mentioned, this little lip for thumb grinds here. Then you have this bubbly little ridge that goes down. Then the center itself, which is a bit convex, just a tiny little bit, but it's actually very, very good for finger spins. And then you've got a spike in the center here. This one is quite sharp, actually, and it's very, very good for doing matador tricks. We'll talk about that later as well. The material is 6061. The feel of the Honey Badger is quite nice. I think he did mention it being a little smaller than most yo-yos, but I don't actually feel that in the hand. It feels just like your basic mid-size, full-size yo-yo to me. Like I said, it is a little bit on the narrow side, but that could just be because I've been playing with extremely wide yo-yos like the Akita and stuff recently, so this may feel a little bit more narrow to me. But it's not out of the realm of normal yo-yos at all. It's definitely, if you've thrown a yo-yo before, you're going to find familiarity here. And the look, there's a few different colors of this. He let me choose the color that I wanted for this little prototype run here, and I ended up going with clear because I actually don't have that many clear yo-yos, so it's really nice to have this. And there was like a purple, a blue, a black, and a gray, and I think this one, and I don't know, the clear just really called out to me. But the blue especially is a very, very nice shade as well. You guys are going to see those on the Instagram if you check it out. But all the colors of this are very nice, very classy, very muted, nothing too like shocking, which is really nice. Kind of goes with the classy feel of this. So as for the history of the Honey Badger, I've actually known about this yo-yo for quite a while, haha. As for the history of where this came from, this is a collaboration between Zipline Strings and Unspoken Yo-Yos. Unspoken is this really cool company. They make yo-yos like the Artemis, I think, is their most recent one, or one of their most recent ones. And that had a lot of people that were really talking good about it. I've never ever thrown Unspoken before, so this is kind of my first experience with them. Obviously, I'm on Team Zipline, so I know all about Zipline Strings. You guys know all about the awesome strings that they make. I've done unboxings and stuff with them before, but I'm just a really, really, really huge fan of Jeremy and all the work that him and his family do. You can definitely feel like the love and the passion that went into this. Like, it really does feel like a finished product. It doesn't feel like a prototype at all, which is, a really good sign when you haven't really released the yo-yo yet, that there's nothing much that I could say that I'd want to change about this. As I always say, Tokyo is not a business. I'm not in this to make money. I don't do this to make a profit or anything. It's just nice when companies think to send me stuff. And it was really nice of Jeremy to think to send me one to try out, because I'm not the best player on the team by far. So it was really kind of him to think of me. All right, so getting into the play of the Honey Badger. So the first thing you're going to notice when you pull this out, and I mentioned this in the unboxing, is it does feel a little heftier than you might expect, and it's actually not that heavy. It's around 63 grams, which is, I think, a great weight for this. I'm really getting into lighter and lighter yo-yos these days, especially after the float. I did make a review of the float, but it was going up on Rewind's channel, and now that I'm not with them anymore, I don't think you guys are ever going to see that review, so that's a shame. What I said in that video was that the float kind of ruined me for a lot of other yo-yos that were heavier. It definitely made me re-examine my collection, and I got rid of a lot of yo-yos that I just wasn't playing because they felt too heavy. This, even though it feels hefty when you pick it up, Feels very nice and light on the string. It does not feel like it's too slow. It doesn't feel like you're unable to control it. It feels like the weight and the shape are perfectly married together, which is something that's nice because I think the trend of yo-yos is that they're going lighter and lighter, and I don't think that that's some people think that's a bad thing. I don't really think so, because I think heavier yo-yos, you know, it's easier to put more power in them, but I think you can show a little bit more artistic and engineering know-how if you're able to make a lighter yo-yo that still plays well. I think that's really where yo-yos like the Honey Badger and the Float fit in, is yo-yos that are just a tiny bit smaller, there's not these huge wide boys, they're not these really, really heavy things, but they still play with tons of power and control. So as far as how it plays on the string, it lands with ease. You're able to kind of move it and change speeds whenever you want. It has an extremely variable feel in the hand, like you can kind of stop it on a dime and turn it whenever you want. It has a very, very nice spin to it. I have not noticed at all it ever running out of spin the whole time I've been throwing it, and that kind of surprised me again because it wasn't this big wide powerhouse of a yo-yo. It has a ton of spin time. Stability is really nice too. I think because these rims are so big and thick, they're able to really throw a lot of stability on there, which is not something I expected, just because, you know, this isn't like this isn't being advertised or, you know, thrown out there as a competition yo-yo. So I really don't like that term, competition yo-yo, but you know, it hasn't been advertised as like a performance beast, but I think it definitely is capable of that. As far as grinds, the blast on this is really nice. I normally don't like blasts that are this matte, but I think it's just on the right side of satiny that it's not really a problem. It is a little tiny bit narrow for grinds, but that could just be because my fingers are really huge. But besides that, like the actual grind surface itself is really nice. You can get some very long grinds on this. Finger spins are really nice too. The spike kind of gives you a little hub to spin around, and you're not gonna have any problem with finger spins there. They're nice and stable to give you a lot of time to bind. Also, you're gonna notice the spike here as well. The spike is extremely functional. This thing actually can do pull starts. That's how sharp these spikes are, is that you can get a good grip on there and you can actually pull start this thing enough to get a good bind out of it, which was something I was really shocked and happy about. A lot of times you're able to get like a Matador spin, but usually it might not be enough, or you might run out of spin, you might not be able to do other tricks, but being able to pull start this was like a really fun and cool thing to do, and it's kind of like one of those tricks that you can do that kind of gives people that wow right off the bat when you're trying to show yo-yo to people. As far as the shape and how accommodating it is for whips and slacks, it's, again, like I said, not the widest yo-yo, but I've been playing with like the Puffin and the Manatee and the Akita and all these yo-yos that are super wide. So going to something a little more narrow was definitely a jarring experience at first, but it's something I've been really enjoying because like I said, I don't usually throw yo-yos this narrow, so it's been a really nice experience for that. But yeah, the shape is just accommodating enough that you're gonna have no problem with whips and slacks, binds, anything like that. You can get the string in there very easily. Another thing I wanna talk about is the response. Like I've mentioned in the unboxing, I don't know exactly what response this is. It's probably gonna change, or maybe it won't change, I have no idea. But one thing that's really nice about this is whenever I open a yo-yo, I'm always worried about how it's going to respond, if I'm going to need to change the pads and stuff like that. And one thing that's really nice about Jeremy is that since he makes strings, he knows exactly how responses behave, different responses on different yo-yos, different gaps and stuff like that. So it's really nice that I know he thought about that, and I know he made this response to work with his yo-yo and to work with any of the strings that he sells, which, you know, just so happens to be the only string I use. So every string I've thrown into this has been absolutely amazing. What I've got on here right now is the Bushido Baby. It's a new blend he's been working on, and let me just tell you guys, this blend is absolutely incredible for a few different reasons, but you're definitely going to notice, first of all, that the color is really, really bold and it really sticks out a lot more, as well as the fact that it works absolutely flawlessly with the Honey Badger. So, you know, all in all, I've just really been enjoying my time with the Honey Badger, and it did something really important for me, which was it got me to try something outside of my comfort zone. Like I said, I've been really into wider yo-yos recently. I've been playing the Akita and the Puffin and the Manatee almost exclusively. Shout out to CLYW, you guys are awesome. You know, when I looked at this and I saw the pictures of it, and when I first got it in the hand, I wasn't sure what to think. I was a little bit worried, in fact, because I was like, oh, it looks a little narrow, the surface seems a little dry, I don't know about the shape, it's not something I'd really be into. But because so much like passion and care went into the design of this, into getting the shape just right, into getting it comfortable, into getting the weight lighter, into giving it more power and stability despite the narrowness and the, you know, slightly smaller shape. So much went into this and so much made it just right that it actually overcame all of my trepidations. Like I was extremely worried that I wasn't gonna like it at all. which is fine. I mean, you're allowed to not like yo-yos, but I think that's the sign of a truly great yo-yo. You know, a yo-yo that had very, very careful design and consideration is when it can overcome all the feelings I had that it wasn't going to be something I was going to enjoy. Instead, you can see in the unboxing, as soon as I threw it the first time, I had this big silly grin on my face. So definitely it overcame all my worries about it. And that's not to say I was worried about anything that, you know, Unspoken or Jeremy would make. It was more just like, it didn't look like something that would fit my style, and it's been the only thing in my bag. I've even left the Akita at home. It feels great. It feels fun without being like a yo-yo that you say like, oh, it's not for competition, it's just for fun. It's not one of those yo-yos that I feel like the idea of trading performance for fun is something that is not really good for yo-yo. A trap that a lot of companies fall into is when you make a yo-yo that you think can only do one thing, and I think that's really unfortunate. But I feel like the Honey Badger ticks all the boxes. It does all the things that you would want a yo-yo like this to do without being like too wild, too crazy, too extreme in any specific case. But that's not to say that it's also just a normal yo-yo like, oh, it's just your average everyday all-rounder. It does feel different. It does feel special because of the shape and the lighter weight, because of the cool spikes, and because of the really nice colors it comes in, because of the nice response. It just feels special in that way that you don't usually see with collaborations, and it's something that even if I hadn't had it sent to me, I would have definitely bought, and I'll probably be buying another one. Let's get into pros and cons of the Honey Badger. First of all, the colors are great. You're going to see more colors on Instagram, but I just love the nice even blasts on all these. They look super classy, and I think clear is awesome because it goes with any string. I love the spike. I think a lot of spikes are made these days that are too small, or nubs are used and the nubs don't really give you any functionality, but I love spikes that are nice and sharp because you can do fun stuff with them. The response is really good. As I said, Jeremy knows strings. He knows how strings interact with yo-yos, so it was really nice that I could open it without having any worry about how it's going to respond. The weight of it is really nice. It's super nice to have something sub 64. I think like 63, 64 is like my ideal weight for a yo-yo right now. The shape, like I said, it overcame my worries about it. I thought it was going to be something I didn't like, but it fits very nicely in the hand. It doesn't feel too big or too small. It fits in the pocket very nicely because of the slight narrowness of it. And yeah, it's just one of those that, like I said, it kind of seems to have nailed the fun and performance without sacrificing either of them, because that is, like I said, that's something that's very unfortunate that I feel like a lot of yo-yo companies do. As far as cons, I don't really have any right now. I'm not 100% sure of the price. If I know what it is, I'll put it up right here. I don't know, like, I think this is a yo-yo that you're definitely gonna want to try out. I haven't tried the other Unspoken yo-yos, like I said. I hope that I could get a chance to someday. It definitely feels like it has that one-of-a-kind, only comes around once in a while kind of feel to it. When you look at it on a picture, you might just say like, oh yeah, that looks like a typical like HV hybrid, but it isn't that. You really need to get it in the hand and have a feel for it. Feel the weight, play with the spikes. Get a sense of how it moves on the string. Feel that just wonderfully snappy bind, and you're gonna understand what I mean by it. So I really, really recommend that you get your hands on it. Honey Badger looks like a lot of fun. Honey Badger is a terrifying animal. Do not attempt to encounter a honey badger in the wild, but this is one honey badger that I think is safe to keep as a pet in your house. So starting in this video, I'm going to be doing something that people have kind of asked me to do before, and I put up a poll and people seem to like it. I'm going to be giving ratings to yo-yos. Now, I normally don't do stuff like this because I feel like ratings are arbitrary, tend to divide people into different categories of people who agree or disagree with me. But if you're watching a review, it's because you probably already agree with me anyway. I'm gonna give it a score out of 5 stars. So 1 being terrible, don't use it. 2 being it's got too many problems to make it worthwhile. 3 stars being it's good, but it has some problems that you should worry about. 4 being wow, it's pretty good. And 5 being I can wholeheartedly recommend it. So for the Honey Badger, I will give this the first score rating on Tokyo-Yo. I will give the Honey Badger 5 stars. I do believe this is 100% worth your time. I do think it's a very fun yo-yo, and I think that it plays so differently yet so familiar that anybody who picks it up is immediately going to feel like it's new and fun, but they're also going to feel like they've thrown something like it before. So it has that really nice feeling of new yet nostalgic. So go get one. I'll put the date when it's supposed to be released somewhere on the screen there. All right, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave me a like, a comment, a subscription. I really appreciate it. We've just passed 2 years on Tokyo-Yo. I know I didn't do anything special. I need to do a giveaway or something soon. I think we've also passed 200 videos or something like that. I need to just give you guys some stuff. I need to do some giveaways, contests, so be on the lookout for that in the future. Also, we're almost at 2,000 subscribers, so let's keep that going. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, have a nice day, and sayonara.